Nietzsche's prescription was elegant in its simplicity. Become who you are. Overcome the values that were handed to you. Build your own. Stop seeking approval from the herd. Cultivate discipline. Create meaning. This was already extraordinarily difficult in 1888, when Nietzsche wrote these words. It was difficult in a world without electricity, without mass media, without the internet. It was difficult in a world where the primary obstacle to self-overcoming was internal, your own laziness, your own fear, your own willingness to accept the values of others. Now imagine trying to do this in 2026. You wake up. Before your feet touch the floor, you have already checked your phone. You have already been exposed to dozens of pieces of content designed to provoke an emotional response. You have already been algorithmically served advertisements tailored to your deepest insecurities. Your attention, the most precious resource you possess, has already been harvested before you are fully conscious. And the day has not even started. This is the central problem of becoming an Übermensch in the modern world. Nietzsche assumed that the primary battle was against yourself. Against your own weakness. Against your own tendency to follow rather than lead. He did not account for a world in which thousands of engineers, armed with the most sophisticated psychological manipulation tools in history, are paid enormous sums of money to make sure you never win that battle. The enemy is no longer just internal. It is external. It is systemic. It is designed. Let us be specific about what you are up against. Your phone contains applications built by teams of behavioral psychologists who studied the same dopamine pathways that casinos exploit. Every notification is a slot machine lever. Every like is a pellet of social validation dispensed at precisely the interval calculated to maximize engagement. Every infinite scroll is a treadmill designed to keep you running until you collapse from exhaustion. Nietzsche warned about the herd. But he imagined the herd as other people, the crowd, the masses, the mediocre many who would resent your greatness. He did not imagine the herd as a silent, invisible algorithm that learns your preferences better than your spouse knows them and uses that knowledge to keep you docile, distracted, and consuming. The modern herd does not need to be present. It lives in your pocket. It follows you into your bedroom. It wakes you up and puts you to sleep. It is the most intimate relationship in your life. And its only goal is to make sure you never become anything more than a consumer. The question is not whether you have the will to overcome. The question is whether your will can survive an environment that has been specifically engineered to destroy it. This is not paranoia. This is the business model of the attention economy. Here is a niche problem that almost no one discusses. Nietzsche's Ubermensch requires solitude. Deep, uninterrupted solitude. The kind of solitude where you can hear your own thoughts without the static of other people's opinions. This was possible when Nietzsche was writing. He spent years alone in the Swiss Alps, walking for hours every day, thinking thoughts that no one had thought before. He was not being interrupted by push notifications. He was not being pulled into group chats. His solitude was genuine. Try to find genuine solitude today. Even if you physically isolate yourself, even if you go to a cabin in the woods, your phone is still there. Your mind has been trained to reach for it. Your dopamine system has been rewired to crave the little hits of stimulation that come from scrolling, checking, refreshing. You are never truly alone because the entire internet is always with you. And the entire internet is just the herd, amplified to an incomprehensible volume. Nietzsche believed that solitude was the prerequisite for self-creation. You cannot become who you are if you are constantly being told who to be. And in the modern world, you are constantly being told who to be. By advertisers. By influencers. By algorithms. By the curated lives of everyone you follow. The signal is so loud that the self cannot hear itself think. And a self that cannot hear itself think cannot overcome anything. So what is the path forward? Is the Ubermensch impossible now? Nietzsche would reject that framing. He would say that the difficulty of a task is not an argument against attempting it. It is an argument for attempting it with greater intensity. The fact that becoming an Ubermensch is harder now than it has ever been does not mean it is impossible. It means it is more necessary. And it means that the people who manage to do it will stand out more dramatically than ever before. But the path must be adapted. You cannot follow Nietzsche's 19th century prescription in a 21st century world. You need new strategies. You need to treat your attention as a sacred resource that is under constant siege. You need to build walls around your solitude. You need to develop what might be called digital asceticism, the deliberate, disciplined refusal to participate in the attention economy on its terms. You need to detox from validation. You need to practice being unseen, unliked, uncommented upon. You need to learn that your worth is not measured by engagement metrics. And perhaps most importantly, you need to accept that the Ubermensch is not a destination. It is not something you become one day and then remain forever. It is a direction. It is the constant, daily choice to resist the forces that want to turn you into a passive consumer of other people's values. Every time you put your phone down and sit with your own thoughts. Every time you create something instead of consuming something. Every time you make a decision based on your own values rather than the algorithm's suggestions, you are walking the path. The Hyperborean in the modern world is not the person who has escaped to a mountain cave. The Hyperborean is the person who can stand in the middle of the most aggressive attention-harvesting machine in human history, and still hear their own voice. Still know their own mind. Still choose their own values. That is harder than anything Nietzsche imagined. And that is exactly why it matters.